Hey, high schoolers, welcome to another YouTube premiere party. We're thrilled that you guys decided to join us tonight. Just a couple of quick announcements for you before we dive in. Make sure that you hang out with us over here on the live chat. Let us know that you're here. Leave comments and questions and concerns about the message, and let us know what you had for dinner because we're interested in that sort of thing. Right below here, immediately after Jake's message, we do Zoom groups every single week. To kind of help us process through the message together and to make sure that we get to see your face. And so the codes for those Zoom meetings are right below here, so make sure that you jump on Zoom afterwards and let us see your shining, sparkling faces. We miss you guys a lot, and we love you guys a lot. Here's just a couple other things. You should already know by now that our mission trip has been canceled. It is not happening. And so stay tuned for what we're going to do in response to that. We don't quite know yet. We're kind of waiting to see how all this plays out. But for now, no mission trip outside of Amarillo at all this summer. Second thing that you need to know is that they're making a decision on camp for the season on Saturday, like May 2nd, which is like in 3-4 days from now. And so we'll have a lot more information to be able to give you and to communicate with you after that. Appreciate you guys hanging tight on that. We're hoping and praying that we get to have camp, but we just frankly don't know right now. So be praying about that and be praying for the camp that they would make the wise and right decision, not just for us, but for themselves as well. We love you guys. Let's dive into week three of what to do when you don't know what to do.
So, when you don't know how to do something, how to fix something, or how something works, what do? Ask a teacher? Ask your parents? Ask your friends? Ask someone you really know and trust? No! You go to the internet and ask some randos. But I'm not talking about creeps here, I hope. No, I mean the people of the internet! You know, those people who make how-to videos. Because chances are, if you're trying to figure out something, someone on the internet has already figured it out for you. Things like, how do I unsend a text? No. How do I do a winged eyeliner? How do I get rid of the zit by Friday night? How do I get out of gym class? How do I screen cap Snapchat without getting caught? They'll never know. But then there are things in life that don't have an easy fix, that don't have a simple solution, that don't have a how-to video. Things like what to do when you have problems with family, or when it seems like you have no control in your life, or what to do when someone has done something to you. I mean, clearly, they gotta go. The truth is, there's a lot of life that doesn't have a solution you can just find online. So how do you know what to do when you don't know what to do?
What is up, high school? Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day so far. I know I am. You can't see him. I'm going to grab him. I'm going to go off frame for a second. But this is one of the perks of COVID-19 is I actually get to bring little Jaxie to my sermon. But that wouldn't happen on a normal Wednesday. But you know what would happen on a normal Wednesday is you would be here and I would be a lot happier. I think Shane and I are just kind of getting sad. We just really miss you guys. I think we really just need people. I think I'm definitely an extrovert, so I know I'm sad, but I know even Shane as an introvert is just really, really missing you guys. And we're just glad you were here, though. I'm glad that we can still do this, that we can still meet together, especially over Zoom afterwards. Hopefully you're staying around for that. Small groups is the reason that we do this. You know, I can talk here for 15 minutes about something and bring up a couple Bible verses, but you know, when we actually get together and we talk about the Bible together and there's questions from you, that is where you learn. That is where good things happen, where great things happen. But speaking of COVID, I bet you guys have all heard about the crazy grocery shopping that's happening now. And the other day I was actually doing that. I actually went to the grocery store and I wasn't hoarding all of the food and all of the toilet paper for myself. And if you're doing that, shame on you. But I was just there for some essential items, you know, like some Capri Suns because those are life, and just some toilet paper, you know, because you guys know, you know me, I need toilet paper. But as I was walking out, I saw this green thing flying through the air, and it stopped like right in front of me. You would have thought it was like a movie scene. But this $20 bill landed right in front of me, and I was kind of lost at what to do. I had a bunch of thoughts that just went straight through my head, and I just didn't know what the right thing to do was, because I saw it there and I was like, you know what? Thanks, God. Thanks for blessing me with this $20. I'm definitely going to take this and I'm going to go and get me some Taco Bell, because that's what I do with cash money. But then my second thought was, you know what? Maybe the right thing to do is to take it back inside and give it to the manager. You know, someone probably lost this $20 and they probably want it back. But then my third thought was, you know what if I give it to like the manager or the cashier and they just keep it for themselves? You know, like, is anyone really gonna like come back and ask for this $20 that they lost? Now I know some of you are probably saying, you know what, you should probably take it to the manager. You know, that's the right thing to do. And I know others of you, probably more of you, are probably saying, you know what, take the money, Jake. This isn't a moral issue. It's finders keepers, losers weepers, right? And some of you who are constantly skeptical of people might be thinking that, you know, if this was happening to you, maybe there was like a camera from a prank show recording you to see if you would be selfish or not. But what I'm really getting at, friends, is that knowing what to do isn't simple in the moment. See, and that's what we're talking about in this series. I don't know if you've missed the title, but it's pretty important. It says what to do when you don't know what to do. So today we're going to be looking at the dilemma of what to do when we don't know what is right and what is wrong. See, it'd be nice if doing the right thing was always clear in the moment, right? Or was always obvious to us. But we all know that really isn't the case. You know, sometimes things just aren't obvious. Maybe if you're dating someone, right? But you're texting someone else, kind of a lot, and you're kind of wondering to yourself. You're saying, you know what? I'm not really cheating, right? We're just texting, and it's just 2 a.m. You know, when we're texting, that's not wrong, right? Or is it? Or maybe your teammate is going on about how the coach is such a jerk and bench them for no reason. But you know that they really need to work on their passing game. And you're wondering to yourself, is it wrong to tell them? You know, I know they'd be hurt for sure, but is it wrong to not tell them that if fixing that one thing would help this problem? Or if you have a friend who's doing something that's really bothering you and you don't know if you should talk to them about it or not. You're wondering, if I confront them, am I just going to look like a jerk? Or is this my issue? Or is it their issue? Should I just get over it maybe? What even is the right thing in these situations? See, sometimes the right thing costs us something. See, once I decided to return the $20 bill to the customer service desk, I knew it would cost me something. Specifically, it cost me $20. And on top of that, I had to spend the time to go back into the store and have the conversation with the manager. Maybe you know the right thing is to be honest with your parents. But if you're honest with them, you'll probably lose your phone, and maybe for the rest of your life. Maybe you know the right thing isn't to be in that relationship anymore. But if you break up, you'll be single and alone. You know the right thing isn't to let somebody cheat off your test, but if you say no, then you know someone or somehow you might feel like a loser. It costs you socially. You know the right thing is to decline when someone offers you a drink, but it seems like everybody who's drinking is having fun, and saying no might cost you a good time and maybe even a good story to tell on Monday. You see what I mean? Sometimes what's right feels complicated. And even when we do what's right, sometimes it's actually difficult to do it. So with that in mind, let's talk about Joseph again. So for the past 2 weeks, we've been talking about this guy who's one of the most famous people in history, and his story is wild. Like sold into slavery by your own brothers, wild. And what we're going to be looking at today can be a game changer for all of us. It'll help us know what to do when we don't know what to do. We left off last week with Joseph sold into slavery. And we pick up this week with what happened afterward. We're told Joseph was given to work in the house of an officer of Pharaoh. And Pharaoh, you see, he was like a king, an emperor, a president, all rolled into one. See, whatever Pharaoh said, that's what happened, period. So you can imagine working for one of Pharaoh's important officials was kind of stressful. See, depending on the situation, it could either end up really well or it could end up really bad. And there was no telling what situation Joseph was going to walk into. But like we mentioned last week, the author was quick to point out that God was with Joseph, and he had favor with the official, whose name was Potiphar. I think that's correct. If it's not, I'm going to be saying it wrong for the rest of the night, and Shane's going to be laughing at me every time I say it. But it's okay. We can laugh at me together. But that means that Potiphar was a fan of Joseph. So now we're going to pick back up into the story. So the Lord was with Joseph so that he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. When his master saw that the Lord was with him and the Lord gave him success in everything he did, Joseph found favor in his eyes and became his attendant. Potiphar put him in the charge of his household, and he entrusted to his care everything that he owned. From the time he put him in charge of his household and all of that he owned, the Lord blessed the households of the Egyptian because of Joseph. See, the blessing of the Lord was on everything Potiphar had, both in the house and in the field. So Potiphar left everything he had in Joseph's care. With Joseph in charge, he did not concern himself with anything except the food he ate. Genesis 39, 2-6. Man, I wish I could not concern myself with anything other than the food that I ate. See, but things weren't so bad for Joseph because Potiphar trusted him. And things weren't bad for Potiphar because Joseph was in charge and he was thriving. See, but then things kind of took a weird turn. So let's jump back in. So, see, now Joseph was well built and handsome. And after a while, his master's wife took notice of Joseph and said, "Come to bed with me." So this tells us two things. Apparently, Joseph wasn't a bad-looking guy. 2, his boss's wife noticed. Now, this was where things got complicated because Joseph was a servant. He was required to not only obey Potiphar, but he was also required to obey his wife. And if he refused her commands, there was nothing holding her back from punishing him. In fact, he could be kicked out of their household, which was a better place than others, or it might even cost him his life. But if he did what she asked, that would create a whole nother set of problems. She was married to his boss. Both options came with problems. See, it wasn't easy and it wasn't clear for Joseph in the moment. So what did Joseph do when he didn't know what to do? So let's listen to what the next part of the story says. See, but he refused. He said, "With me in charge," he told her, "my master does not concern himself with anything in the house. Everything he owns he has entrusted to my care. No one is greater in this house than I am. My master has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" And though she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her or even be with her. That's Genesis 39, 8 through 10. So basically, out of respect for Potiphar, which I hope is his name still, as I say for the 5th time, and even out of bigger respect for God, Joseph simply did the next right thing. See, Joseph didn't make a decision based on how things might turn out for him, like losing his job or even his life. He made a decision based on what he knew was right. And what was right in that moment was turning down Potiphar's wife. See, it was complicated. It was challenging, but it was the right thing to do. See, it wasn't exactly like his life was perfect as a result of making this right choice, though. I want you to understand that. In fact, things actually kind of got worse for him. See, Potiphar, his wife, falsely accused Joseph of rape. Potiphar, like any good husband, believed his wife, and he had Joseph thrown into prison. Not exactly the happy ending you were hoping for when you do the right thing. See, but Joseph didn't make his decisions based on what it might mean for him. He did what was right with God and trusted God with the outcome. See, the outcome for Joseph in this situation wasn't great, but there's a word I want you to know that changes everything when it comes to doing what is right. That word, I know we've said that word here at Embassy so much, but it's an important word. That word is integrity. Maybe you've heard that word before. I hope you have. But integrity means being the kind of person who does what's right, regardless of the outcome and regardless of who is around. See, sometimes doing the right thing will get you an applause, but sometimes it won't. Sometimes doing the right thing will cost you something, and other times it won't. Sometimes doing the right thing might make you look good, but sometimes it might make you look stupid. So we don't get to decide how things turns out. We don't get to decide how things turn out, but we get to decide what kind of person we want to be. See, and being a person of integrity will lead to a life with less regret, more respect, and a better idea of what to do in every situation. So chances are, I hope not, we'll never find ourselves in the same type of situation that Joseph was in. But we will find ourselves in all other types of situations where we will have to decide what to do without knowing how it will play out. So it could go better than we thought, or it could even go worse. But when we make our decisions with integrity, based on what is right, we are living lives we can be proud of. So here's one thing you can remember tonight. When you don't know what to do, do the next right thing. So try this. Think of one situation where you know the right thing, but you're afraid to do it. What are you afraid of? If fear wasn't a factor, what would you do? Secondly, I want you to determine what kind of person you want to be. I'm not talking 5 years from now. I'm not talking next week. I'm talking about today. What do you need to do today that will set you up to be the kind of person who respects themselves and can be proud of their decisions, not because they're easy, but because they're right. See, here's the deal. Most of us know the right thing to do in most situations, but fear keeps us from acting how we know we should. More than that, fear and inaction keep us from becoming who we want to be right now. That's why learning to live with integrity, living in a way on the outside that matches what we think and believe on the inside, is the most direct route to being who we want to be. But that doesn't always mean that it's going to be easy to do. So the next steps were created with you taking the final step to do what you need to do in mind. Tell somebody the next right thing you're going to do. 2, invite them to pray for you and then ask you this week if you did. See, that's how we live lives of integrity. Knowing the next right thing and then doing the next right thing. And inviting someone else to come alongside us is the next best part. See, doing the next right thing doesn't have to be a lonely venture. Invite someone into your story. There is strength that shows up when you allow someone to show up with you. There is power in accountability. And that's why we have small groups. And friends, I know it's different. I know doing small groups over Zoom isn't the same. But it's so important. We all need a group of people who will help us figure out the right thing when we're in complicated situations. And that's why the conversations that you're going to have in small groups are often more important than anything that Shane or I will say from the stage. Because those conversations are specific to you and your life. So as you head out, friends, I want you to think about a situation where you need to do the next right thing. Think about exactly what you need to do. But just know, you don't have to do this alone. You can tap into the help of God and the help of others. Because friends, when you don't know what to do the next right thing. I love you, and I'll see you soon.